Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to APU and Industry Career Live webinar sessions. All right, so my name is Ryan from Asia Pacific Universities from APU, and I'm your MC for this session. All right. Okay, so how are you, everyone? Are you fine? I hope whoever is watching this session is safe and healthy. Maybe you can comment at the below. Where how to say whenever you are watching this on the Facebook or you're watching on YouTube now. You can comment at below and say hi to us. All right. Okay. So anyway, today is the second day of our APU and Industry Career Live webinar sessions. We have actually covered a few areas of the studies yesterday, such as engineering, psychology, and digital marketings, and also some other topics. So for those who have missed out the previous sessions, you can actually watch the replay on our Facebook and also our YouTube channel. Of course, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel or you have not followed our Facebook page, please subscribe and follow us. All right. For this career APU and industry webinars, this is going to be 3 days event from yesterday, today, and also tomorrow. Okay, so this whole APU industry career live webinar will cover a lot of area like I mentioned just now, engineering, psychology, digital marketing, which we have covered yesterday. Today we'll talk about more maybe on data science, AI, actual studies, design, AR, VR, or even tomorrow's. So there are a lot of topics we'll be talking about. So stay tuned. All right. So of course, I would like to invite all of you, all our participants, to join our APU Open Days. So all our counselors are ready to guide you through all the pathway. Some student, I believe some of you are students who just got your SPM result or you had your result from overseas. Don't worry, join us on our Open Days and we'll guide you through on all the pathway available for you for your further studies. All right. Of course, for more information and updates, you can visit our website at www.apu.edu.my, or of course follow us on our Facebook page, Instagram page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right. So the topic for this current live sessions is why AI and big data are skills for future jobs. Okay, so AI and big data nowadays is not only only related or in computing and IT related field. Some people may say, I'm doing marketing, I'm a accountant, I do finance investment. Nah, this big data or AI is IT people thingy lah, not related to me, blah blah blah. But no, this is actually big data and AI is actually involved in many industries. Okay, if you have read some news or articles, you can actually see that AI and big data are used in many industry and actually replacing a lot of jobs. Okay, so like it or not, this is the future and we have to embrace it. All right. So anyway, today we are proud to have two speakers joining us for the session. The first one, I would like to invite our Prof. Vinesh. Prof. Vinesh is our Chief Innovation Officer at APU. He is also our Deputy Vice Chancellor of APU. Hi, Prof. Vinesh.
Hi, good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. All right, and the second speaker is Mr. Firoz. Mr. Firoz is the CEO and
Hi.
also the Chief Solution Architect of Loosely Coupled Technology. Okay, the company was founded in 2017, and their mission is to provide affordable AI and big data solution to many business in many countries. Right, Mr. Firoz?
Yes, hi. Hi, Ryan.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
Prof. Dinesh. Hi, very nice.
Okay. So let me pass the session to both of you.
Right, thank you,
Okay.
Ryan.
Thank you.
And a very good morning to everyone who have come in for this live webinar on Career Talks as set by APU. And I'm proud to be part of this journey over the next 3 days. And, it's exciting. Whenever I see that video, right, I feel very upbeat. I almost want to dance whenever they show our APU video. And that's what APU is all about. We are upbeat and we're always ahead of the game, and we are always front in terms of being in the advances of technology and innovation. And that's interesting enough because the topic for today, in terms of the career talk, is on AI and data science, which are the skills required for the future in terms of future jobs. And with me this morning is a very experienced individual from the industry. So I have Mr. Firoz, and we are very honored for you to be part of this 1 hour session with us, who will also share his thoughts, his experience into a lot of the topics that I am going to share over the next 1 hour. Now, AI and data science, they are not new, but they are definitely advancing and evolving. Uh, as soon as you wake up in the morning, there's a new advancement. So keeping on par with the current trends is a very challenging uh, uh, task. But the positive side is jobs are abundant in these areas. So what we have this morning is also slides which I want to share with you, and together with Mr. Feroz, we are going to take you through these slides this morning, so that you can see what's it like in terms of the jobs that we have for the future. So Feroz, let's take this on board and let's go through one by one each slide. Let's start with
Yes,
the
sure.
first one. Yeah. So what you see on the screen is a very introductory of what AI can do in terms of future applications. Yeah. And we'll show you more skills as we move forward. So we at APU, we are aligning with the current AI generation, which is fulfilling the wants and needs of the new millennials. So what AI is doing, basically, AI is a feeder and an enabler to the wants and needs of the new millennials. So a lot of you are going to come into APU to study programs at APU. You are coming from that new millennial group of people. Yeah. What you want, what you forecast, what you manifest for yourself is what AI is enabling. And that is beautiful, but also very challenging, because what you think and want is by the day, by the hour. Yeah. And don't you agree, Firoz, that AI is all about the needs and wants of the new millennials?
Absolutely. I think, you see, when back in, I think it was around 2007, 8, like we first saw the movie Iron Man, like the Jarvis assistant, like who was introduced and helping Iron Man to navigate the thing. So that was a movie in that time. And now, if you actually look at the real world, you actually have practically Alexa, you have Siri and everything doing the similar kind of assistance. So I think in terms of the future world and the current millennials, when you will actually be in the field, life is going to be very similar to that, because we are already in that pathway, and a lot of the things we used to see in the movies as fictions and all are now becoming reality.
That's a good example and reflection, because what is happening in the movies, I truly feel that's where we are going towards. So someone is manifesting and showcasing the manifest in a form of movies, and we watch and we want that to be of similar in terms of lifestyle. Yeah.
Hi, Prof. Vinesh. Sorry to interrupt. Your screen
Yes,
is not in full screen. I mean, your slide is not in full screen.
it's not in full screen. Let me check.
Yeah.
Is it now?
No. Do you mind? Maybe you can try share screen again.
Share screen again. Okay, so I close this file, right?
Yep. Sorry to
Okay,
interrupt. Yeah.
no problem. Okay, I'm actually opening the file again. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So for those who are online, who are watching the live stream, in between the session, if you have any question, feel free to type in the comment section, and Prof Vinesh and Mr. Firoz will try to answer you. In between the sessions. All right.
All right. Just checking, Ryan. Can you see the screen now? I'm sharing.
It's still not full screen actually.
Full screen. Yeah. How about now? Is it full screen now?
No, I think
I
maybe you
think
can try.
it's no, I
Maybe
think
after
the
you try
full
full screen,
screen.
then only you share screen.
No, I think
Hmm.
it's full screen, but in the presentation, you have to change the settings to probably through the other screen.
Ah,
Or let's continue like this, I think.
Yeah. Why not? Let's keep on talking.
okay.
While I get this done. Yeah. So next up is basically the overarching of AI. So AI is an overarching representation. Yeah. And it is overarching a lot of the current trends in terms of enablers in the ICT world. Yeah. So what we say about AI, it's AI is the future of our technology. It's overarching. And a lot of the career developments in AI are then pushed down to a lot of these subsets, and there is no end game for the subsets because they are all part of artificial intelligence technology. And here we're talking about the Internet of Things, cybersecurity, data science, financial technology, fintech, mobile technology, and robotics. So maybe Feroz, what do you think about the overarching representation of AI?
Okay, I think you see the way AI works is a very different mindset uh, compared to the traditional IT and technology. So that's why, like we call it, this is the overarching thing, and this is going to be changing the entire world in terms of technology. Let me explain a bit. Like AI try to simulate the way a human child grows. So you come in the world with no knowledge, and then you start experiencing different events, incidences, and you start gathering your knowledges, and you start making decisions. Many of your decisions can be right, many of your decisions can be wrong, and eventually you learn and you develop your own perception and you develop your own way of thinking. So AI is basically that process where a program starts with no knowledge or with a subset of knowledge or with some given sets of knowledge, what we call training data, and then basically from their system starts learning, and it starts taking the real world feedback and it teaches itself. So it's a discipline, and this discipline can be actually applied to almost anything. Like, you, if you are in a financial sector, you know how frauds have been happening, so you see your past frauds, you see your past problems, and your system learns from that. So that's how basically in the that particular world it will work. Even if you look at the current COVID scenario, how we can actually come up with such a I would say, like, it was phenomenal to come with a vaccine from so many different companies in such a short notice. So because almost all of them has deployed the different variants, and we are detecting the variants so fast. Actually, if there would have been just people working to detect all these things, this wouldn't have been possible. So that's why we are engaging AI and all, which we didn't have any knowledge. We have deployed these machines and fed it with different data with the assistance of human being, and basically machine learned, and the AI started working in the real field. So overall, this is the discipline, and you can apply it anywhere. It can be in medical science, it can be electronics, it can be manufacturing, it can be retail, anywhere.
Okay, and AI basically is an economic mover and shaker. So when you sort of couple AI with a lot of the AI applications, they actually push different business shifts and trends, and it enables for business enhancement in terms of interaction, uh, engagement, and a lot of the business leaders today are actually using AI as an added workforce and customer reach out advantage. And if you look at the slide today, which I'm showing you at the moment, there will be 1.8 billion users by end of this year on AI in terms of just a few types of apps, in terms of voice recognition, using chatbots to enable people to get personalized experiences, and using digital assistants to actually reach out to customers and to engage with customers. And AI in this current pandemic, as what Firoz said earlier, where you are moving away from face to face and a lot of engagements are remote, AI allows for that engagement. It allows for that non-destructive engagement. And we see that that will be further enhanced in terms of different applications within the string of applications we have right now. And you see the growth on the screen right now. You see the amount of video capture, you see the amount of devices to enhance processing of scripts and text. And a lot of it comes with AI productivity and personalization. And now we know with this enhancement towards the business and economics of scale, you will know that AI is going to create new jobs. And the statistics are there by Forbes: 58 million new jobs by the end of 2022. And that's 18 months from now. So in the next 18 months, you will see creation of millions of jobs. And that is no serious challenges, Those jobs are imminent. And what do you think about this, Firoz? Do you know that the jobs are there?
Yeah, actually, like, it's a completely new field. So there will be like jobs in abundance, and the challenge is going to be the other way around, like finding the right set of people to fulfill that job, because it requires a different mindset, different sets of skill sets and all. So in terms of the jobs in the AI and data science and all these fields, like it's something like growing like anything. Like so you just need to make sure that everyone is ready to take up those jobs.
Yeah, so jobs is an important factor in any educational journey because the job and employment is actually the indirect outcome out of the journey of a student in a university. The direct outcome is the qualification. The indirect outcome is getting a job, and that's very, very important in anyone's education journey. And now here we show you AI applications in the industry. So you look at the broader industrial applications. These are the top three, and you see manufacturing, and you see manufacturing with regards to the Industrial Revolution 4.0, where a lot of AI is being used in terms of enhancing productivity, efficiency on the ground, from not only quality perspectives, because quality is an important factor for customer satisfaction. You have predictive maintenance, so you lower the labor workforce and you enhance your predictability of maintenance. So it's all about improving your mean time before failure. It's all about automating your processes. So here again, you're shortfalling your labor forces where jobs are becoming smarter. A lot of factories are now remote. So you have factories all around the world. And how do you connect these factories in terms of data, in terms of production, in terms of the supply chain? This is important, and AI has got a lot to do with it. I talk about supply chain and I come into inventory. Inventory is very tough to manage because inventory is different in different parts of the world in terms of your raw goods, your raw materials. But managing an inventory can help enhance your net and gross income for the company. Now I move into telecom and telecommunications. If you talk about the service providers, a lot of the service providers now have got remote communications in terms of using AI to communicate with their customers. So you have speech, voice services, you have chat box, and this is the front line of communications with customers. You don't actually have to go to a kiosk. You can go online, you go through their apps, and you can actually communicate with a customer representative. And back end, a lot of, again, the prediction of maintenance on the towers, on the service stations, the optimization of the entire network, so that is the disruptiveness is at a very, very, very low level. And lastly, from the cybersecurity perspective, intrusion and detection of malware and also fraud of usage of the network. And lastly, I want to talk about healthcare. This is the biggest change today, whereby healthcare is being revolutionized by the application of AI. You have robotics that is assisting in surgery, which is now taking a slow, creeping move into the surgical world. You got virtual nursing assistants in the form of chatbots and people who can talk to you to find solutions to your healthcare problems. You have new drug discovery, whereby a lot of the scientific work being done at the back end is actually using AI to sort of faster and quicken the process of analysis and medical scientific work. Then you have genomics and also to reduce errors. So your errors are being reduced with the application of AI because AI is computational, and computational sort of uh, pushes away human errors, and that's the main string of uh, uh, big three of the industrial applications. And I want to call Firoz in to now talk about the further applications inside finance, retail, and the government services. Firoz, what do you think about these three next tier of large applications?
Okay. Um, Interestingly, like we work in these three specific sectors, like very deeply, like very deeply. Uh, you see, now the world is very connected world. So if you look from the government or public sector point of view, we have seen revolutions happened in many part of the world just by connecting people over Facebook. People came down, they actually went against government, or they revolutionized certain sides of the world by just connected with social media and everything. So social media based revolution we have seen in last like 5, 6, 7, 10 years. So now even like if you look at the government and public sector side, looking at the public sentiment, how people are reacting to different government initiatives or different pros and cons of decisions, people are very, very expressive. So that's one of the biggest area where basically natural language processing, AI, and all these things are being used now in order to gauge the public sentiment, what people are liking, what people care about, what people dislike, all these things. So this is one of the biggest sector where now social listening or this AI is being used. And the same is happening for all the brands, because people are so active in all the social media and the digital media. Brands and public sector must listen to what people are saying. And this is one of the area where basically AI is playing significant role because of the scalability, because you cannot get people to just talk to each other or look at all your social media profiles and everything and see what people are actually doing. And other than that, definitely cybersecurity. It's not only government or defense sector. Cybersecurity is something even at the personal level, because now we are so much connected and so many devices we use even at home, starting from our TV till the smartwatch that we use. Like everything is so much connected. So protecting our data, so cybersecurity, surveillance, all these things are definitely growing and growing only. In the retail, I think if you look at this pandemic scenario for last 1.5 year, like we do not have any other opportunity other than serving our customers remotely. So when a customer used to come to our store, we had the opportunity to interact, they had the opportunity to see the product, experience the product, and all these things. But when we are remotely functioning, we need to give the same real feel. So the retail experience has to change significantly. We are using augmented reality, like the way we use our Instagram, like different kinds of special effects and all. So we are actually now people are coming up with apps where you can actually try on your lipstick, try on your makeup on your face, just using augmented reality applications, and see try to put on your dresses on your own like image and see how those things are actually happening. So AI is trying to transform the retail experience as a whole. And also the huge volume of data that gets generated during this shopping journey is also being utilized to target customers better and enable all these small businesses or the large businesses to reach out to their customers more. And in terms of finance, you see, since we are making all the transactions digitally, so your credit worthiness is very easy to measure. So your transaction profiles and everything, you are making everything more trackable way. So it's now easy to identify how credit worthy you are, what is your financial status, and all those things. And even when we have so many data, we can also identify the patterns in transaction, and we can spot frauds, and we can identify, okay, this is a like suspicious transaction, and we can right away go in there and detect. So in these three particular sector, the data volume is so huge that AI, data science, and every field of this entire like new tech, like the industry 4.0 that we actually talk about, is very, very much like useful and in a way like revolutionizing the entire sector. You see, now we almost everyone has some form of financial wallet and basically the online banking and all. So the transactions that we generate, those are like significant enabler for all our like further uses of this data and others.
Yeah. So, what we have shown you just now and what Firoz described in depth in a lot of the industries that we showed AI applications, they are all actually platforms and avenues for future career opportunities. And here, what we have listed are some of the job titles, which are actually very sexy, if you ask me, Firoz. Yeah, you got AI engineer, you got a machine learning engineer, you got a robotic scientist. You can even go into deep end research and become a research scientist. You have the computer vision engineer. You got the AI specialist that does the overarching type of work. And further in, you have the other uh, applications that also allow for AI job titles, like a software engineer, but focused on AI and analytics. You got the digital systems processor who's focusing on systems by virtue of image processing. You got the data mining analyst. You got the algorithm specialist, and then you got the business intelligence developer, and also a simple area like gaming. We have the video game programmer who will use AI to sort of develop games to make it more interactive, more exciting. Yeah. So these are sample career opportunities in terms of titles which are available in the current market already, and future only open up will only open up more different titles as we evolve in the scene of AI. Now, data science is part of AI. We talked a bit just now about AI, and we want to move into data science. And Feroz, AI is an overarching umbrella, and within that we have all the subsets which I earlier described. And data science is a heavy subset within AI, simply because AI has got machine learning, neural networks in terms of text and script and voice recognition. And then you got the other element of deep learning, which deeper dives into the further study of neural networks. And all of this has a plot to play, and is supported with data. Nothing happens without data. And how does big data feed into this subset portfolio, and how does a data scientist apply big data applications? These are things that we want to know within the data science impact towards AI. What's your thoughts on this, Firoz?
Okay, I think let me first explain like what it means, because I think like when you see big data, data science, machine learning, neural networks, like so many things, so where or how all these things actually interconnect, because I think this is something uh, is we all need to have a bit of clarity here, because when we say big data, like we have transactional data, we have been using systems, we have been doing business for long enough, I think. So all these data we have in different forms of repositories. Like in a bank we have our transaction management system. In Facebook we have so many Facebook comments, post feeds coming from like almost like every 5 minutes we spend on mobile phone, basically we spend 1 minute on Facebook. So that's the statistic. So we are generating millions, billions, and petabytes of data just by interacting in Facebook itself, just to give you a sense of the kind of data we are generating every moment. So that's basically the big data. But now this data is just data. We need to transform it to some kind of information. So the data science is the science that actually applied on top of this data to make a bit of sense out of this data. And when you want to make a bit of sense out of this data, and what do you do with this sense? You also need to act and see the results and put it back in your like operations and everything. And that is where basically we say artificial intelligence and machine learning, all these things are the overall discipline that helps you to do all these things. And in a way, artificial intelligence we call when system learns on its own. Like you give them the data and you give them a bit of structured and unstructured data, then system learns on its own, go out and try out it on its own, then gets feedback and learns on its own. So that's the final level of I think technology that everyone thinks that they should be actually putting up. Then basically it comes the machine learning. Like you just try to structure that data and you give statistical regression and different tools that we commonly had throughout the ages. Mostly is guided by the statistics. Like you have like lots of statistical tools, so those can operate on these huge big data sets. And then the other alternates are neural networks and those things. And in neural network you can have simple neural network, or you can have multi-layered deep learning neural networks. So that's how basically the overall tools are actually there. So basically your information or your source is data, and tools are the other disciplines.
That's a very in-depth explanation towards the interrelationship between data science and AI. Now, to take the audience further, Firoz, over the next few slides, I want to quickly stream some of the jobs in terms of what does the job title require. Yeah. So we got the first, which is a data scientist. A lot of people get confused between data scientist, data engineer, data miner, and then they say that everything surrounds big data. But why are there so many titles? Basically, in the next few slides, we will sort of decipher and give you a very a simplistic explanation into the different job roles. So, right here is the data scientist. Now, a data scientist is very simple. You got to understand the data, you got to analyze it and draw the outcome, actionable insights from the data. Yeah. So basically, what the data scientist does, it wrangles with the data, it does all the visualization, and builds the storyboard so that it can make sense to someone who's not a technical person, basically. Further on, the data scientist will also build models using algorithms and all the different type of visualization tools which are out there in the market. So you don't have to create your own tool. You can use tools which are out there, and these algorithms and visualization will help in the services within the different domains within all the different types of industry. Yeah. So these are the type of programs that you see which will lead you: a computer science program, a statistical program, a data science per se, per specific program, a software engineer, or a data analytics program within computer science. These are all the different type of programs that can help you go into this career. Now, what happens in these programs are a bit of programming. Of course, you will learn Python, R, SQL, Hive. It depends on the needs. You will definitely do a lot of machine learning, as explained by Firoz earlier, and then a lot of NLP, simply because a lot of AI and data science requires NLP, natural language programming, in terms of carrying out some of the applications which is required for voice recognition, computer vision, and things like that. And then a little bit of statistics, because at the end of the day, you want to make sense of the data, and a lot of back end statistical work in terms of linear algebra and a lot of the multivariate methods that are going to be used will help you specialize yourself in the data science world. Yeah. You like numbers, you can crunch data, you can have that mindset of always being curious of what the data will lead to. You can be a good listener, you can understand the business function, you have deep domain knowledge. These are all add-ons that make you a very good data scientist. Now, the next role is the data engineer. And a data engineer or a data architect, they sometimes call them the data architect. What they do is they capture and they store data and they make warehousing of the data, and they ensure that the filtration, the cleansing is done, and they also know where to collect and how to integrate the data, because the data will come from various sources. Yeah. Again, here a lot of the qualifications are of the same, but here we can a little bit move on to even business programs that have specialization in analytics. The guys that have done data informatics, the guys who have done cloud computing specialisms, they can move into becoming a data engineer. In terms of the skills, you can see a bit of Python and R. Python and R are quite common in terms of programming skills. They're not hard to learn. If you take me as an example, at my age, I learned Python in 4 days. And that's how friendly it is as a coding language. Yeah. And then database, cloud design is always important, because a lot of the data are going to be stored in the cloud. How cloud as a service functions is something you have to understand. And then, of course, deciphering between structured and unstructured data, how you integrate it, process it, and sandbox it. Now, here is having the sort of precision in maintaining data quality is an important mindset and culture to be embedded. And then how to apply technology on becoming a good data engineer in terms of processing data. I want to move on to the analyst part. And this is where Firoz is a very good expert in terms of analyst. And Firoz, can you maybe chip in here in terms of the data analyst, if you want to just sort of explain what the role is as a data analyst?
Okay, so basically the primarily data analysts, they visualize data, they slice and dice and basically try to extract insights from the data. So you apply different tools and techniques using your different development tools, and you visualize the data and try to extract insight. So the way we utilize data analysts are like, once data engineers have structured the data and everything, or they haven't structured the data, you just have the raw data in your database and everywhere, and you need to look at the same data in different ways, in different dimensions, in different parameters. Maybe you want to explain it along the time dimension. You can analyze your sales by geographic regions. You can analyze your consumer behavior, customer satisfaction over time, and all these things. So data analysts are the people who will be going through the data and giving us all these different representations of the data and the insights.
And this is the integrated functional relationship between different industries, and how a data scientist, a data engineer, a data analyst will sort of work on the enhancements within the industry. So Firoz and myself spoke about the top three and then the second tier of the second three industries. But I want to push in here to some of the industries here that we did not talk about. And one of it is travel. It's fantastic. We used to love travel, but over the last 18 months, we have not been able to travel beyond 20 kilometers, especially in Malaysia. But travel, data science or an analyst or an engineer, the big data portfolio, it helps in dynamic pricing, predicting flight delays. So the travel industry, if you take the airline industry, they use data and optimize it in terms of their sales. And that is why you have different pricing for different seat locations on a different day for a different flight destination. Now, a lot of travel operations, in terms of flight operations, is also impacted by data. And that's why you have flights arriving late, flights arriving early. They are not, a lot of people believe it's based on airport functionality or weather controls. Yeah, it's actually not. If you look deeper inside, it's actually data that is pushing the operations of flights, because a flight that comes in early can take off earlier, right? A flight that comes in late can allow another flight to take off earlier. And that's how you integrate in the travel industry. Now, if I take another industry, for example, insurance and credit, maybe Firoz, you can touch a little bit about insurance and credit.
Okay. So actually, the credit industry is being revolutionized by AI and data science, because you see, normally or traditionally, banks only finances a certain group of people, and there are lots of discussions. I think all of us have heard the financial inclusion, like we have to include the majority of the population in the financial industry and financial system. That's how all these different wallets are coming up, who are actually enabling people to start using digital financial systems. So now once you have digitized them, you have the transaction and everything already digitized, then basically the credit and insurance, all these things can rely on those data and target to those people who are not profitably banked by the traditional banks or the larger banks. So basically, if you look at the current industry, the credit and insurance, even the micro insurance, like we have seen in the industry, one day insurance, one ride insurance. Like if you are taking a Grab ride or a single, like this kind of rides, you can even insure for those rides, a single flight insurance. So these kind of micro insurances are now coming up because of this like overall industrial revolution.
All right. So that's we're showing you two samples. There are 7 on the screen right there. We talked a lot of it in the earlier slides. Let's move on to 2 more areas of job functions, and I'm going to quickly cover them. One is a business analyst. Yeah. So a business analyst could be a person either from the computer science background or a business person who has studied something in business but has the analytical subject matter that has been covered. Yeah, a lot of people will use SQL. They'll use different visualizations. They will use business intelligence. Yeah, business intelligence itself is a subject for that matter. They will come up with different concepts. Yeah, they will define the strategies. They will be the end line to communicate with different stakeholders, either owners of companies, data providers, or even customers. Yeah, so they not need to make the deep technical analysis, because that's done by the data scientists and the engineers and the miners and the analysts, but they have to make sense of the outcome of the analysis so that they can sort of put it out in terms of presentations and analytical outcomes in terms of all the stakeholders so that people understand. So they play the role in bridging the gap between the core data scientists and the stakeholders. Yeah. And that's very important. And a lot of them are now coming into picture. They not necessarily have to do the actual on the ground work in terms of the analytics, but they definitely have to make sense of it so that they can report it. Yeah. And then you have the business intelligence analyst. It's pretty much the same here as the business analyst, but you have a bit more economics involved, and you use a bit of more of the tools like Tableau and other tools that can help you in extracting information so that you can transform it into information that makes sense from a business perspective, so that the end result is to improve business. Yeah. And the performance of the company in any type of operations the company is involved with. So the BI analyst will know what the KPI, the vision and mission and the goals of the company is for that business year, and they can use the data or the trends or the visuals or the dashboard data that is as an outcome to sort of examine it against other competitors within the same business field. Yeah. And then blend out a sort of a strategy for future practices to sort of enhance business or be on the competitive edge. Yeah? So these are two areas. This is the business intelligence for the industry, and this is a sample dashboard. And maybe, Firoz, you can explain. It doesn't have to be on this dashboard, but an overall integration between where data comes from and where it leads to in terms of a business outcome.
Okay. Let us consider a scenario like in a telco environment. I think I'm just taking hypothetically. So if a tower goes down, then people around that area will not be able to use the telecommunication service for that particular operator or something. So if any mobile tower goes down, it has a very high impact on the overall network and even on the public service point of view as well. So how basically data can really provide, or the entire flow can really help. So, and why data can go off, like it can be even like there is a cyclone, there is a like heavy rainfall, due to that the site can actually go down, there can be power outage, or there can be some infrastructure outage. So we have the historical data of different sites, and all those data are stored in our data warehouse or somewhere. So, and we also know that from the weather forecast and different other like external matters, we know how the future is going to be looking like for a particular day. So combining this weather forecast and the historical data, we can actually come up with a data model which can actually predict, okay, looking at the weather, these are the probable sites which may experience power outage or something like that. And okay, I know that there can be power outage, but what do I do? So when I know that there can be power outage, what I can do is, if the outage duration is longer, I can just go in and I can actually put a backup generator there. I can actually make sure that all the batteries are charged up and everything. So you see, we have historical data and we have future weather forecast data. Combining those, I can actually predict which tower goes down, and I can actually go out and get my sites prepared so that it doesn't actually go down for long. And when actually electricity outage happens, I can still take a measurement in order to actually prevent those outages. So that's how basically existing and the predictive data together can come up with an indication what can go wrong, and when I can know that this can go wrong, I can actually deploy my operation to prevent that. I think that's how basically the overall operational flow will be working for almost any single industry or any single business case that you are going to be looking forward in future.
Right. I pulled off the slides. That is basically the end of our presentation slides. I want to take this opportunity to see whether there are any questions from the audience in terms of what we have presented, or anything that comes to your mind. All right. Perfect. So that's one question here. And Firoz, you can help me answer these questions. Yeah. What is the difference between pseudocode and Python, or JavaScript and C? Someone's a bit worried about coding, just like many people.
Okay. First of all, Python, JavaScript, C, these are programming language, and pseudocode is just basically you outline your thought process, like how you want the logic to be organized. So pseudocode doesn't run. It basically helps you to organize your thoughts. And Python, JavaScript, C, these are the real programming language, which it gets executed in different places. So, so I hope it answers the question.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Any more questions?
Hi, Prof. Vinesh and Mr. Firoz.
Hi.
At the moment, we don't have any other question in the comment, but any one of you, you're watching on the live stream, you have any question, you can feel free to type in the comment section. Yeah, so I mean, back to the question just now, I mean, someone asked about Python, JavaScript, C. Which is the most popular programming language that will be used for, data science and also AI? Yeah.
There are actually rankings of programming language. I think at this
Okay.
moment, Python and JavaScript are being the most like popular programming languages.
Mm,
But in terms of data science, I think Python is going to be much more popular because of its friendliness and ease of use and ease of exploration. So I think popularity wise, Python will be the most popular, I believe.
I see. Because I think for us, we always get a lot of questions, especially students are worried about, is it very difficult to do programming? Because when we talk about big data or AI, it sounds very, complicated. It sounds very difficult. So there are some students, they are worried that, okay, I haven't, learned about programming when I'm in high school. I haven't learned about this, that before. If I go into this field, will it be very difficult? This is what they worry about.
Okay, I
Maybe
think
I can help. I can help here by asking Firoz a very simple question. As a data engineer or a data scientist here, let's just use those two roles. What is your satisfaction from the job? You've been a data scientist, yeah, and now you've moved up into your current role, where you are in a business leadership role. But at one time and at one point in your career, you were a data scientist. And what was so satisfying about the job? Maybe you can share with the audience here.
okay. You see, for me, I still call myself a programmer. So, because I am actually very much passionate about programming. And basically, to me, it's changing the world by writing codes. So, that's how basically I personally feel. And as a programmer or as a data scientist or as a data analyst, whatever you do and when you finally apply it to the business, you can see the changes so fast and just in your own hand. Like, this is the most satisfying things. Like, you change one algorithm, you change one simple program, you write one single program, and you see the impact in the business, you see the impact, you see the satisfaction in people's like face. So I think that's the most satisfactory thing that has actually pushed me all the way in terms of actually like coming to my or pushing my career or whatever I do. So for me, I think the impact that all this technology does in the real life, that actually drives me. Like, if you ask me, I will be like, probably this is one of, like, someday my written program will be actually something very close to that Jarvis of Iron Man. So those kind of program writing, if you actually look at that, probably drives me. So I think if you ask me, so that's very personal. But I think if I look at, so I don't know if you wanted to know this, like what drives me, or you wanted
Yeah,
something.
because students can come and they can learn a certain program. Yeah, they get on it and they go through subject by subject. But what they can't see, right, is the end result. And I'm talking about the indirect end result. The qualification is totally satisfying, but the job is still quite confusing to them, or it is still an unknown world. They have a taste of it during internship, which is at the end of year two before they start year three. A taste of 4 months. They get a taste of it, but they are not really on the job at many times. They will be lucky if they get to do deep end projects. So sharing with them how sexy the job is really helps, because then it brings in a flavor that, okay, I'm safe. I'm on a correct career pathway. The journey that I undertake will be fulfilling. And that's what we wanted to know from you.
Okay, on that note, I just want to add something then, because if that's basically the purpose, you see, we learn engineering from school, but we deliver business in real world. So we all must understand that what we learn and what we deliver are completely different. And the work field is the place where this transformation happens. So unless I am focused in delivering the final benefit to the consumer or to the business, my engineering knowledge or my technology knowledge is of no use. So whatever I know, I have to apply, transform, and then deliver. So I have to have that mindset when I go to the job. I think that is one of the area we have seen the fresh graduates gets frustrated very easily, because they just think, okay, overnight I will be doing and delivering this, but actually there are business understanding, there are business impacts, there are chain of delivery process, and no business is starting from scratch zero every day. So every business itself, they are in a life cycle of their product and everything. So you as a graduate go in and join the workforce, so you have to collaborate in terms of delivering the benefits. So I think the things that you learn are fantastic, and when you start applying it to the real field, it becomes even more usable and even more fascinating. So just get this mindset right, that whatever you are learning, that's enables you to be fit to get the opportunity to apply. You finally have to apply and bring the results. So that's the mindset that actually are like very, very much required in the real field.
Okay, we got 2 minutes left. And I want to share now maybe one or two examples of AI and data science. Yeah. So I'm going to start with one real world example of how business intelligence platforms are used in a functional perspective. Yeah. So there is this company called HelloFresh. Yeah. And HelloFresh, what they have done to revolutionize their business is basically to centralize their entire digital marketing reporting, uh, which is also to increase conversions, right? So that was the project they undertook. The problem they were trying to solve was basically using digital marketing reporting, uh, but it was always time intensive, firstly. Second, a lot of it was manual. And thirdly, it was inefficient. So, as part of the project, what they did was they introduced uh, uh, a centralized business intelligence solution to save their own marketing analytics team between 10 to 20 working hours per day collectively by automating their reporting processes. So HelloFresh is a meal kit company. Yeah. So they empowered their marketing team to craft out more regional, sort of individualized digital marketing campaigns. And based on the aggregate of the analysis that was done of the customer behavior, HelloFresh was able to create three buyer personas. Yeah. Uh, so it's behavioral, contextualized into three type of personas. And this will now enable them to see and track real-time data so that the team can react real-time as well, immediately based on customer behavior, and this allows them to optimize their marketing campaigns. So they saw an increase of conversion rates and improve customer retention. Now, HelloFresh was only able to do this when they deployed AI to enhance business intelligence for their digital marketing team. So they were already a digital company using digital marketers, but they use business intelligence to enhance the digital marketing team. And that back end work was done based on AI. Yeah, so that's a classic example. We are at an end, and I want to take this time to quickly sort of summarize our talk this morning, and maybe Mr. Firoz, for the sake of our audience, a quick fire statement on what your thoughts are in terms of AI and data science in terms of jobs of the future?
Okay. So overall, AI and data science, it is just starting. That's why, like, when first computer came in, we had computer operators, computer engineers, and all these job titles. So we are actually just at the beginning of that. So that's why we are having AI, data scientist, all these job titles at the beginning of it. And it's just going to be growing and growing. And the way now, nobody actually hires people for just knowing Excel. Okay. So similarly, at one point of time, AI and data science is going to be embedded in every field of uh, business and every field of works. So this is just the beginning of the entire field. So it's just picking up. So there will be a huge peak, and we are just at the bottom of that curve. So like, everything goes through a wave, and this is at the like bottom of the wave. So if we can get into this wave now, I think the overall career opportunity and everything are going to be just fabulous, I would say.
Thank you, Firoz. And I just want to end very specifically. Uh, the most in demand AI jobs, yeah. If I take occupation percentage growth over the last 5 years, meaning 2016 to 2020, the statistics are very clear. I'll give you four job titles and I will tell you the percentage growth. Yeah. So a machine learning engineer, the numbers have grown by 344%. A robotics engineer, the numbers have grown by 128%. Computer vision engineer, it has grown by 116%. Data scientist, it has grown by 78%. This is phenomenal in terms of growth of job functions. So our talk today allows you to understand better AI and data science, what are the functional roles in the industry, how it impacts industry, how it impacts business for any sort of organizations within those industry that we example or sampled. We gave you a sample of how certain companies have utilized AI and data science to sort of enhance their business operations. We gave you a lot of insights to the study journey in terms of what requires you to become a good scientist or AI engineer. I want to thank Firoz from Loosely Coupled, who has spent this morning with us at APU on this webinar. In my last words, please come and study at APU. We are the pioneers in AI and data science education. Nothing beats us because we are always, as I started this webinar, we are always upbeat in terms of technology. So take care, everyone. Have a very wonderful Saturday and enjoy the rest of APU's webinar series in terms of career talks. Yeah. Thank you. Over back to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Prof. Vinesh. Thank you, Mr. Firoz.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
very
joining
much.
us on the these live sessions.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's an honor being with you at APU. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. All right, so this is the end of this live sessions. All right, so we will have another few webinar today. The next one will be talking about the creative industry, the ecosystem of creative industry. So if you are interested in like animation, visual effects, industrial design, or digital advertising, stay tuned to our next webinar, which is at 12 p.m. We will also talk about more on the fintech, financial technology. We talk about Industry Revolution 4.0. We're going to talk about the foundation program in APU and also a little bit about entrepreneurship at APU. All right. So we have the session from next session is 12 p.m., 2 p.m., and so on. You can actually go to our website, apu.edu.my, to look at the full list. And you can also register so you get notification ahead of the event. All right. Thank you again to Prof. Vinesh and also Mr. Firoz for joining us for the webinar. And thank you everyone for joining for this live session. All right. Thank you and stay safe. Bye bye.